Hello and welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey Podcast, the podcast where me and my brother Charlie say hello.
Hello, everybody.
We talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NIHL, the National Ice Hockey League, the league we love and enjoy. And today is a special episode. It's the Solway Sharks special, and we are joined a bit later. Well, not too long actually. We're gonna get into the interview soon with John Strange, co-owner of the Solway Sharks. It was a nice little interview, wasn't it, Charlie? I actually learned quite a lot about Solway
Yeah,
just talking to him.
yeah, he was a funny fellow as well. I really like him. He had a great personality, and it's a great interview. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, we're going to go through the team as well in the second half of the podcast. We're not going to do our lines because we don't really know many of the players, but we'll be doing our ones to watch, our expectations as well. But let's get straight into it. Oh, actually, Charlie, you forgot to ask me something.
What is your beverage?
Mine is actually Diet Coke. I've ditched the Pepsi Max. No, basically the Diet Coke was cheaper and I didn't want to pay more for the Pepsi Max, but Pepsi Max is so much better than this anyway. So yeah, what have you got?
I got a Tango Apple sugar free. So
Oh, nice.
lovely.
Right. Well, hopefully that keeps us energized. Let's go back then. So the Solway Sharks joined the league. They replaced the Basingstoke Bison this season. What was your initial reaction to this news? Because it was rumored for a while, wasn't it, Charlie?
Um, Part of me in a selfish way was going, "Oh, I've got to do a 7-hour, 6-hour trip to Solway." But no, they've shocked me. They've signed some really good players, and originally I thought I did think that they'd really struggle coming into our league, but I think they've signed enough of them top end players to really push themselves up there. So yeah, I'm excited for them. I'm optimistic, and I think they'll be a good addition.
Yeah, I'm going to go out there with a bit of an opinion. I'm really happy they've joined the league because I like it when there's more teams, you get more games, more different games as well. But I think a lot of the players who have part-time jobs will be a bit frustrated. I'm not going to lie that they have to do all this traveling, especially when they've got to go back on Monday morning to their 9 o'clock job. So I'm sure there's some frustrated players out there, but it'll be nice as a fan point of view to see Solway come into the league. And I think they've come into the league the best they've could. They've presented themselves really well. What's your reaction been to just how they presented themselves on social media, especially?
Oh, it's been phenomenal. I genuinely, and I don't want it to sound like I'm constantly complimenting them, but they've come into this league and they've done everything they should have. They've advertised to their fans really well. They've had new amazing owners come in, and their social media has been the best in the league.
Yeah.
It's been really refreshing to see their content and like funny videos like Warburton getting announced, John Dunbar in a meeting. They've just been this. They've set the bar so high.
Yeah, I really like the approach. I've tried to do that with the Wildcats in some of their player announcements, and they've been doing some really fun player announcements and getting the players involved, which I really love. And I think that's what the fans love as well. So I think that's why they've had so much positive feedback on it. And yeah, big ups to John, who we interview a bit later, and Craig Peacock. They took over the Sharks this season. And they've done a really good job, haven't they, Charlie?
Well, yeah, some of the names they've signed, and oh, it's been amazing. It's been quite fun. It's
Yeah.
been quite refreshing, and it gives Scotland a route into the National League if you don't want to leave your home country. If they want to stay in Scotland, the players
Yeah.
they can go to a Scottish team. So it's exciting for our league.
And we'll see through when we go through the team later how many Scottish players they actually do have in the club. And as you said, it's a big opportunity for them. And they've got a very, very good coach in Martin Grubb, who's been very successful with the team. He obviously won the quadruple last season? He won
Yeah.
every trophy he could have. Dominated in the NIHL one, and he's now going to be managing in the National Ice Hockey League. So I'm really excited to watch that. He's been terrific for them, hasn't he, Charlie?
Yeah, he's been really good, and some of the players he's managed to link up with, like one of them I'll just put out there, Mason Alderson going into.
Yes.
So, yeah, they've made some really big statement signings for a new team, bringing in some of the most talented, exciting players. So, yeah, I'm buzzing with Solway's team, and I don't want to play them that much next year away.
Well, yeah, I think they're doing a double header, so it'll be a bit
Yeah.
easier to get down to Solway. And at least you're there and you get to, is it watching 2 games back-to-back days? So
Yeah, it'd be stinky if we lost both of them, though, wouldn't it?
yeah, you want to at least win one of them, get 2 points in the bag. But it's going to be very difficult for teams because we talk about this on the interview with John, but their closest away game, Solway's closest away game, is over a 3-hour trip to Hull, Charlie. Do you think that's going to have an effect on the players?
I do. I think Solway will have a really good home record, but I do think they'll struggle away. But I think they'll also be well-travelled. I think you adapt to it. I do. The players will adapt to knowing what to do on the coach, when to sleep, when to have their meal. They've got players come down from the Elite League who are used to travelling. So I think for Solway, it's just about the adaptation to suddenly having to travel 3+ hours every single week.
Yeah, I think, as you just mentioned there, the signings of John Dunbar and players who played in that elite league, like Kel Beattie as well with Belfast, they have been used to travelling all around the country. So I think bringing those type of players in to the dressing room is going to really help. And I think they're going to have a really good bond this season. I think they're going to be one of the strongest bonded teams because they're going to be spending so much time together, especially on those coach journeys. So it's going to be really interesting. Charlie, should we get straight into the interview? Because I think John gives everyone who doesn't really know too much about Solway a really good insight to what the club is about and what their plans is for the future. So should we get into the interview, Charlie?
Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to a very special interview with co-owner of the Solway Sharks, John. John, how are you doing today?
I'm not too bad today, lads. Not too bad. Very excited to have a chat with you both.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on because me and Charlie don't really know too much about Solway. So we're hoping that you can educate us today going into next season. How's your summer been, first off? Has it been very busy?
Well, I don't know where to start. Yeah. So we only really took ownership in May, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's May. So it's been hectic. It's been crazy. It's 24/7.
Yeah.
Aye, it's been busy, but it's been brilliant. It's been so much fun. But
yeah. I was going to ask how did the ownership come about for you then? When did you first hear about Solway and how did you get involved?
So probably a lot of your audience might not be aware that myself and one of the other owners, Phil, we had a failed attempt, shall we say, at trying to buy the Glasgow Clan. And so we came from a sponsorship background. My business is the current title sponsor for the Glasgow Clan. Phil was a sponsor as well.
Yeah.
And during everything that went wrong with the Clan last year, we all held it together and attempted to buy it. It fell through. It didn't happen for reasons that will come out at some stage. But then I got a phone call from Craig Peacock saying, Martin Grubb from Solway Sharks is looking for your number. Is that okay if I pass it on? Yeah, okay. So initially, and I've said this, Martin and I've joked about this a number of times. I said, look, I'll phone him and I'll listen to what he's got to say, but not really interested. And then I don't know if either of you know Martin at all. What a guy.
Yeah, a good coach as well.
An hour and a half on the phone to him. And I was like, this guy's crazy. This is my kind of guy. So myself and Phil took a wee drive down. It's about an hour and 10 minutes from where I live to the rink. So it's not that far away.
It's not too bad, yeah.
Yeah.
We took a quick drive down. We met with Martin, JT, the assistant coach, had a wee tour of the rink, met a few of the staff that worked down there. And we were buzzing, just absolutely buzzing. I was aware of Solway and I was aware of everything that they did, the connection to the Clan, cut players on 2-ways, all that kind of stuff. But I had no idea just how embedded in the local community the club was.
Yeah.
And we fell in love. It's one of those fairy tales that we just fell in love instantly with the whole place. And then within 2 weeks, we're meeting the existing board and then we're chatting to the rest of the teams on the league. The vote went our way, thankfully. We got the chance to buy in and the rest is history, as they say.
Did stepping up to the National Ice Hockey League have an influence in your decision to become an owner with Solway, do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would have said had they asked us to take it on and remained at the level they were at. They didn't really need our help at the level they were at. They were winning everything.
Exactly,
so it was, that's probably a big part of the decision was the club being a sort of and I mean this with the greatest of respect, a community-run entity.
Yeah.
It needed to go full pro, and it needed the help, investment, the business brains, to take charge and move on with the already existing fantastic foundations that are already there. So that probably was a factor, I would say.
Yeah,
I've got to bring this up because I think Solway have come into this league, and some teams will come into this league and just play hockey, announce their players. You come into this league and made statements. Your social media, in my opinion, in most fans' opinion, is the best, and you make fun announcements. You're really interactive with fans. Was this a huge part of you wanting to implement this and the owners and the team together?
Yeah, so I think where sort of my background, although I own and run an insurance claims management business, my background is media. So being fun and engaging, and I suppose it's what would I want to see as a fan?
Yeah.
And I always think like that. And as cheesy as it can be, the better. People take themselves too seriously these days.
Exactly.
So why not? Just, do you know what? It's not going to work all the time. Sometimes you're going to do something and folk are going to go, that was rubbish.
Yeah.
But do you know what? The next one might not be. So it was a big factor. I love all that kind of stuff. So the three of us, the three owners, we're all very proactive individuals. And we're all, for doing that. For example, David, one of the other owners, he's right into design. He's got a signage company, and he's brilliant when it comes to, he pretty much single-handedly designed all the jerseys. With a little bit of help from some of the other partners that we've got, but he pretty much designed all of them on his own. And then we had a company help us put together the recently released Finn the Shark mascot and whatnot. But being fun and engaging, and because of my media background and the connections I have with those who can make videos, it was a no-brainer. We just thought, let's just see what happens. And even things like Martin and Jamie, Craig Peacock, John Dunbar, myself, Watery Curtis, and Hepburn as well, The Wall, all been willing to take part in it. Just made it all the better. They were all, Curtis, I have to say, shout out to Curtis. He was absolutely bricking it when he came in. It was just like, because I grabbed him in the car park and I said, look, we've got this idea, right? And I just lifted out a loaf of bread that said Robertson's on it, and he just looked at me and went, oh no, don't take the Mickey out of my name. I was like, but we have to, it's a brilliant name. My name's strange. You can't get any more weirder than that. So but they've all been right up for it, and hopefully we'll continue to do more of that. It's about making things fun and entertaining.
Exactly. And are you surprised with all the support you've managed to get from it, and the positive feedback you've got from all the fans around the league?
It's been quite humbling, to be honest with you. The reaction has been phenomenal. We expected a bit of pushback because people don't like change inherently, and when you're coming in and you're the new kids on the block and you're trying to be all razzmatazz and whatnot, there are some people that go, okay, sit down, shut up. But the most see, watching the comments on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that, and people just saying, oh, this is brilliant, this is great, this is excellent. When you see that, it makes you want to do more, but it makes you want to keep raising the bar, raising the John Dunbar. It keeps you keep
I think you went about joining the league and just bringing that positive attitude to the league in the best way possible. I think that's why you've got so much support off the back of joining the league, I think.
It's been brilliant. I think what's nice to see, right, and now I'm from Glasgow, boys, and Glasgow as a city is sometimes a horrible place to be when it comes to sport, given the nature of certain areas of Glasgow. So to be able to be involved in a sport and in a community where other rival fans are actively congratulating you on something you're doing, It's a breath of fresh air, and it's brilliant. It gives you a real buzz. Everybody's been fantastic up and down the length and breadth of the country, other than moaning about the length of travel that they're going to have to do.
Yeah, I've got to make the trip to Solway, mate.
Yeah, you have to.
We've got a double header in November. I will be there.
Brilliant.
Long 7-hour trip, I think it is. 6-7 hour trip.
You'll be fine. I think, in fact, yes. Swindon have got a double header, haven't you? So
yeah,
we got a double header in November. Get a hotel in the night in between. Lovely.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'll see you there. I'll be there.
Yeah. Have you talked about? Well, me and Charlie. One thing we were discussing is the distance. I think the closest game away from Solway for you guys is about 2 hours to Leeds or Hull. Have you talked with the guys who are joining? Is that much of an issue within the camp?
Yeah. So I think it's actually more than 2 hours. I think it's about 3.
2-3 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously it was a consideration, as you know, in this league, most, if not all, of the players have another job. So everyone, with us keeping a sort of nucleus of existing players and then adding to that, everyone was aware of it all to begin with. And Martin, as you'll know, has been a fantastic coach. Martin doesn't mess about, so the guys were all told, if you want to go to the big time, you're going to have to commit. And if you're not going to commit, there's the door.
Yeah. So hey, you got to respect it.
100%. You've got to respect it. Now, granted, we've got 1 or 2 Friday night games and a couple of late Sunday games that are quite far away. But guys, now that the fixtures are finally out, guys know that now. So they can book a wee afternoon off work or take the day off or, put a holiday in. And everybody just wants to be part of it, and it's new and it's fresh and it's exciting. And see, for the guys that have been playing for Solway for a number of years now, it's a bit of a dream come true for them to get up to the national. So if it was me, I'd be booking days off work and not missing a game. Don't want to travel short range, so we should have a full complement at every game.
Yeah,
it's the first Scottish team in the National League.
Yeah,
since we've watched, well, EPL as well included. So. It's a really good opportunity in Scotland as well to have, I know Elite League fans like to moan about it, but it's a great opportunity for Scottish players to play at the closest level to the Elite League to hopefully maybe increase their game to the Elite League or play at a very competitive league as well.
Yep, 100%. And the National League just seems to be from the limited amount of knowledge I had sort of a year ago to the, well, still limited, but compared to you guys, knowledge I've got now, it just seems to be getting better and better and better and more competitive and more competitive, which just, bring it on.
Just wait till the season starts and you start seeing all these players. That's me and Charlie, our family are just obsessed with ice hockey. So that's why we started this podcast actually, because at least we got somewhere to talk about it. So I wanted to move on to the squad. So as you mentioned there, you've signed some local lads and you've signed some players who played for them last season. But you've also signed some experienced heads. We've already touched on him, John Dunbar and also Mackenzie as well. How hard was it to get John and Mackenzie on board?
So I can't take the credit for Barry because Barry's a local boy. His mum and dad live, I think, about a 6-minute walk from the rink. So that was Martin. Martin had spoke to him and said, look, we're going national. You have to come home. And Barry's, he'll hate me saying this because obviously he's a lot younger than me, but Barry's pushing it now on the age front.
He's 36 now, I think.
Yeah, this is his chance to. I think he's still got a good few years left in him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's his boyhood club, I suppose. So for him to see his boyhood club get to the level it's going to, with all FOMO, probably he probably had FOMO. Imagine maybe signing again for Fife. And missing out on this year with Solway, I think you'd be crazy not to do it. So I can't take any credit for Barry. Although he's a character and he's brilliant, and he's causing trouble already, as you can imagine. He's a great guy. John, on the other hand, John's an interesting one. So the John kind of, and he'll not mind me saying this, he kind of knew that probably nothing was going to happen with the clan this year with the new ownership coming in. The new head coach was going down a sort of different route and whatnot, and he wasn't sure what he was going to do. And him and Craig Him and Peaks are really good pals.
Yeah.
But I kept saying to Peaks, give him a nudge. Find out what he's give him a nudge. And eventually, out of nowhere, John phoned Craig and said, listen, in all seriousness, what would this look like? Yeah, Craig just immediately went, phone John. So I then spoke to John at length, and John, as everyone will get to know as they meet him around the league, John is a very focused and organised guy. So everything is specific and written down, and questions are answered, and he thinks about things, and he's very professional. So we had 2 or 3 conversations about my belief in where Solway were going and what we were going to do and all the things we want to achieve. And he instantly kind of bought into that excitement. And then, and he won't mind me saying this, we were messaging back and forth and talking for ages till 2:30 in the morning. One night, yeah. I was through in Edinburgh for a charity awards dinner, and I get back to the room at 11 o'clock. There was a message from John, and I was like, "This is the deal. This is the deal." So, 11 o'clock at night, my wife went to bed, went for a sleep, and I sat in the hotel room till 2 in the morning doing the deal with John Dunbar.
Getting it done.
Getting it done, but I couldn't not. The guy's an absolute legend.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're able to give him a position where he can transition out of playing into marketing, sales, all that kind of stuff, hockey operations, that helped sort of not sweeten the deal, if you like, but that helped his mind. And he thought, what an opportunity to play and also learn the business side of hockey, because most sports men and women sometimes don't think about life after playing. And he's got that in his mind already. Same with Craig Peacock. Obviously, I'd known him really, really well at the Clan for a number of years. We were really good friends, and he was a no-brainer for me. The minute we knew we were doing Solway, I was on the phone to him. I was like, "You need to come on this journey with us. You are actively, now that you've retired, looking for a job in hockey. I don't think you're going to get, not that I'm blowing our own trumpet, but I don't think you're going to get a better opportunity than this, Craig. So come and learn with us." So.
Yeah, nice. Go on, Charlie.
You seem to have a key of wanting to develop the young players and push them into 2 ways with teams, and pushing them to hopefully get into the Solway team in the next 2-3 years, potentially. How has this come about, and what's the importance of the young academy at Solway as well?
So that's another key reason why we were sold on the club as an entity. Is the Martin himself is not only the head coach of the Solway Sharks senior team, he is in charge of all the youth development. So I think we must have well over 200 players from little tiny tots right all the way through, and it's his vision and the club's vision to bring them through the ranks. And you've got to, like any sport, you've got to send them out on 2 ways. You've got to get iced in, you've got to get experience.
Yeah. But
what it also does is it shows the first team players there are people knocking on the door, ready to take your spot if you don't step up. Exactly. That creates a good bit of competition. But that was already there. I can't take any credit for that at all whatsoever. All we're going to do is continue to invest and develop that side of the business. The way that they have been doing, but just continue to support them. And getting the young guys out on 2 ways all over the country is exactly the way to do that. They'll still come and skate with us, they'll still come and train with us. Yeah. And then you never know. Listen, it's a long season.
Yeah. Going into next season, me and Charlie we don't really know what we expect really. So we're going to ask you, what's your expectations for this season? Have you talked about with Craig and Martin about expectations for the club next season? Because it's your first season. Bristol and Hull had their first season last year, and I thought they had a decent first little season. So is there any expectations for next year?
Yeah, big expectations, unfortunately. At least a dozen times I've got Craig and Martin together, and I've sat them down and went, right, are we actually going to be any good? Because the players on paper look fantastic. We've got a nucleus from last year. We've got all the new ones coming in, Barry and John Dunbar, etc., etc. but are we going to be able to perform at this level? And Martin's answer to it every single time has always been, "Don't worry, don't worry." So
he's got it under control.
Expectations, I suppose, realistic expectations for us is if we can make the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's the realistic expectations.
Top 8.
And once you do that, you never know. It's our first venture into this level of competitiveness, and Martin has been hammering it home to the guys. This is way up here now. You know, you're going to have to be on your game, more games as well. It's going to be the war of attrition, I suppose, if you think about it.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
We were speaking to we interviewed Mason yesterday, actually, Mason Lipsey from Bristol, and he was talking about how their coach Jamie is getting all these younger players in and is almost building for the future, but their expectation is still to try and get that playoff spot. I'm seeing similarities with Solway. Obviously, you've talked about the youth system and how Martin's controlling that. Is that kind of your plan? You got these youngsters. You've added a bit of experience to them as well. Let's say you make the playoffs this season, then you can push off in the next few years. Is that kind of the idea that was expressed to you when you first were going to take over the club?
Yeah. So the initial thought process was Solway, as you know, had been winning. They won the quadruple again.
Yeah.
So they were almost like 8-0 up by the end of the second period. So no disrespect to the teams that they were playing, but
100%.
That becomes dull and boring.
Yeah.
So I suppose in a kind of sadistic, backwards way, the players and the coaching staff that are returning, they're kind of maybe looking forward to getting beat.
Yeah.
In a weird way, because then they learn. And
exactly.
The only way to get better at something is to play the best.
100%. Yeah.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm almost really happy you said that, because I'm not. There's obviously a lot of expectation on social media, and you do see people predicting them high, and I'm not going to deny that could happen. But I really like hearing from the co-owner that there's a realistic expectation. Obviously, you can push on and you can get higher, but getting playoffs is a great achievement for a first team club, and you build on from that. And you see the team Hull have got this year, and they finished bottom of the league last year. So it's like getting playoffs is better than what Bristol and Hull did in their first year, and they still had a very successful first year.
Exactly. Listen, it's sport at the end of the day. You never know what might happen.
Yeah.
But I suppose from an owner's perspective, if I look at it, if I take the passionate hockey fan hat off and put an owner's hat on, if Solway come in this season and sweep the board and win it all,
that would be crazy.
Where do we go next year?
Yeah.
You kind of like
Glasgow.
You're kind of like, it's about building. It's competition. You want to be competitive. Exactly. You want close games. You want winning in the last minute of the game, or obviously nobody wants to go to penalty shots ever, because it's a horrible way to win or lose any kind of game.
I agree.
Yeah, we want to. God, we would love to. We'd love to come in year one and make the playoffs and give somebody a wee bit of a fright, and maybe get, you never know, maybe get to the final. You never know. You just
Raiders last season. I don't know if you had a look at the season last year. Raiders, they came seventh or eighth. And they made the playoff final. So you just don't know. That's why me, Charlie, my family absolutely love hockey, because win, lose or draw, you're always going to get entertainment on the night, and anything can happen in our league. Me and Charlie have learned that over the last few years.
Yeah.
You will fall in love with this league.
The first ever hockey game I went to in the UK was a Glasgow Clan game, 2018, I think it was. And they got beat 5-1, and I left, and I was like, that was brilliant. Even though they got beat 5-1, I loved it, and that's what got me that's what kicked me into it, and I got the bug from there.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on this. You've brought in 2 Canadians alongside John Dunbar from the U Sports League. I don't know if you had any say in getting those players or whether that was Martin, but we've seen U Sports players come into our league last season. We've got 2 of them. We've got Colby and Lebuele. Have you managed to look at those new imports coming in?
I've had a look at them. Spoke to both of them as well, just to welcome them to the club. But I take zero credit in making that decision. That was all Martin, Jamie, and Craig. The 3 of them. I mean, they must have gone through hundreds of potential. You know, the minute Craig got that job, his LinkedIn just went chaotic with agents and players just jumping on him, and they worked through it time and time again, looking at them, watching videos and whatnot. But what I love about Solway and about Martin in particular is his philosophy. You could be the best player in the world, but if you're not a good guy and you're not a good person, there's no place for you in our squad. No. He's very much that. So he interviewed on Zoom, obviously, the majority of the contenders.
Yeah.
And it was only the ones that he felt came across like good people. And then obviously you do reference checks. Martin been involved in it since Jesus was a boy. You know, he knows everyone. So he would text or email people that he knew would have played with the guys or would know someone that had played with them and got personal references on them both, and they came back up there. So they were in after that.
Yeah.
You know,
awesome.
And they know each other as well, which I think is a key thing.
Okay.
You're bringing these guys in.
Yeah, no.
To a foreign country, you know, you've got to look after them. So the fact that these guys know each other, helps.
Colby and Lebuele are good mates, so I think that's going to benefit us next season. So I can imagine that's going to benefit you guys in a good way as well. Charlie, go on.
What as an owner do you think you're most looking forward to next year? Because
a great question.
What are you looking forward to?
Maybe getting more than 2 hours sleep a night once the season starts. I'm looking forward to. And I'm going to be honest with you here. I'm going to cards on the table. I'm looking forward to watching the games. Obviously, I'm looking forward to winning some games and whatnot. But personally, I'm actually looking forward to being able to stand and watch something that I have helped create.
Yeah.
Even though I've only got a small part in it, there's another 2 owners who are working their backsides off just now as well, and there's a whole host of people behind the scenes, from Martin straight down to all the volunteers. It's going to be a proud moment standing there on the first home game, looking at the whole place, thinking, we done this, you know.
Yeah.
And then hopefully we'll win.
100%. Are you going to try and get down to some games or make some away trips?
I'll be making as many as I possibly can.
That's what we like to hear.
We've got I think maybe this Thursday we're having a travel meeting where we're looking at, you know, when the buses are going to leave and where we're going to stay over and if we're staying over and all that kind of stuff. And then I'll be having a look at which ones I'm going to. I've got a spell it yourself, Jack. I've got a hockey mad family. My wife loves it, and I've got twin daughters who are both 19, and they both absolutely are obsessed with hockey. So we'll be travelling up and down the length and breadth of the country.
Yeah, hopefully we can see you in down in Swindon one time.
Yeah, as long as you don't boo when we come in, then we'll be all right.
No.
You'll hear me chanting. I'm the gobby one with the drum at the away games.
Yeah. Oh, are you one of them? One of the drummers? Right?
He's the drummer, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Swindon don't have many, but I'm one of them.
Go on, Charlie. You always end with this question, so give us the last question.
So, what is your message to the Solway Shark fans?
What is my message to the Solway Shark fans? Oh, I've given them many a message in the last few months. The message is get along and support us, and keep shouting, keep banging that drum, keep supporting the team, and let's all go on this journey together.
100%. Thank you very much, John, for hopping on. We're really looking forward to seeing what the Solway Sharks are like next season and just, building up in the future.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure to have you guys in the league. And thank you for hopping on, and we'll see you in Swindon.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, boys. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, another great interview. Thank you very much again to John for hopping on with us. What a bloke, what a nice guy. He's been friendly with everyone on Twitter since taking over Solway, and some really interesting stuff, Charlie.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And just for example, I just want to show you how great of a guy is. Anything we ask for him to do, or anything Solway can do to improve the National League and grow our podcast, he said he's up for, and I just think he's a top-notch guy for that, and he's a top-notch owner. So big ups, John. Big ups, John.
There's one thing being an owner which just buys a club and wants to run a club because they want to make a bit of money, but then there's an owner who really loves and is passionate for the game. And John is, as he said in the interview, he's going to go to try and get to as many games as possible. So I just love that about him. Yeah, I think they're going to do really well this season just based on the team connections and how well they're going to get on. Should we get into the team then? So, Charlie, do you want to start with the goalkeepers? Who have they got in net?
So they've got a goalie duo of Callum Hepburn from last season and Curtis Warburton, known as the Breadman.
Yes. I think that's pretty good goalkeeping tandem. You got Callum Hepburn. He's an absolute giant in net. What is he, 6'5"?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, absolute giant. And then you've got Curtis Warburton, who's had experience at this level, and he's played some elite league games as well. So that's definitely got to be one of the top goaltending duos, do you reckon, in the league?
I think they've got a good goaltending duo, but I think there's a bit of pressure on Warburton to take that next step for me. I think he's a good goalie, and I think he's a decent goalie, but I think he needs to push himself into that top 5 goalie in the league. Some people will say he's already there. Yeah. In my opinion, I think he can take that level up in their game. So I think they've got 2 goalies, and it's almost like a 1A, 1B situation where whoever's on form, whoever's doing well will be in goal.
Yeah, I think they're going to get equal opportunities. I think Warburton will probably be the starter because he's had that experience in this league before. And I think we're going to see how good he actually is when he gets loads of games in a row, getting them starts, because even if you have a bad game, he can come smash it in the next few. So yeah, I think that's a really, really good start to the squad. Let's move on to the D-men. They have got 5 or 6 Scotsmen, and then they've got an import D. So should we start with the import D-man, Charlie?
Yeah, so they've got an import D-man. His name's Oliver Asenu, I believe. That's how you pronounce it. He's 27. Yep. He's 6 foot tall, so he's a big boy, and he's just played 5 seasons in the U Sports. One of them was a COVID year, though, so 4 full seasons in the U Sports. Who knows? We don't really know what to expect from these U Sports D-men at all, but they've got a nice Canadian D-man there.
If I'm going to take a guess, I think he's more of a defensive-minded shutdown player. He hasn't particularly got loads of points in the U Sports League. He hasn't really played many. Yeah, he's played 3 full seasons, but he's not really a point-scoring D-man from what it looks like. He could prove me wrong. But I think he's going to be that big shutdown, experienced defenseman to take control of that D. Do you reckon in Solway, Charlie?
I think he'll come into our league and he will score points. He's Canadian. He's going to be, on paper, probably an IQ above the other D-men in the league.
Yeah.
And I can imagine he will pick up some good points, but he can suck up some big minutes for them. And he can just be a big player in that D-core to be a top liner, probably.
Yep. Another 2 D-men who I'm going to focus on is Cale Beattie and Liam Stenton. Both of them have had elite league experience, and Cale Beattie was with the Belfast Giants last season. What can we expect from them going into this season, Charlie?
Well, Cale Beattie, he's only played a couple games for Belfast, but he's had that training experience. He played some games for Hull last year and played some games for Solway. He's a good skater. Not the most physical yet, as he is very young, but he's just got the talent, Cale Beattie. Yeah. And then on the other hand, you got Liam Stenton, who's a guy who really buzzes me, really excites me, because he's got that elite league experience. He's a Solway lad, as John was saying, and he's got a point to prove, in my opinion. He's 21 years old. He didn't really get the minutes he probably wanted to in Glasgow. So now is the time he wants to prove that he is one of the best D-men in the National League.
Yes, 2 young D-men. There's a couple of others as well, just to name a couple names. So they've got Cian Shelvin, 2006. So what's that, 17, 18 years old? And
Jamie McElroy likes him.
Yep, Jamie likes him. And then you've got Callum McGill as well, another Scotsman who's 19, 20 years old, I think. So, some youngsters. But then they've got the experience of Stuart Tonner, who has spent his whole career, I think, at Solway, and he is the captain as well. What did you make of him from that one game you saw of him at playoffs this year?
We've watched him play twice
Yeah.
in the 2 playoff games. He's done well in the league below.
Yep.
To be honest, I can't really say what I need to expect from these players.
Yeah.
Because we don't know. It's like a mystery. And this is the thing with Solway, they've got so many of them players which have played so long in the league below, potentially, a bit older. And they just need to transfer their game to the National League. But he's got the experience, he's got the age, he's their captain. I can imagine he'll be a good third pairing D-man, potentially top 2 as well.
Yeah, he's a big body. You don't want to mess with him. When you see him, he is a big, big body. So, yeah, he's going to be someone not to mess with from the opposition team. And as you said, he is the captain. Let's get into their forward call because it is a very big squad. A lot of two-ways going on in here, Charlie. Where do we start?
I want to start off with a player who excites me, Mason Alderson.
Yep.
At one point, from what I've heard, he was one of the most talented British hockey players out there, and he did pick up some serious injuries, which is always rough.
Yeah.
He's played GB under 20, scoring 8 points in 5 games, 6 points in
Very
5
good.
games.
Yeah.
He gets points at the level. He's on a 2-way Belfast Giants, which just shows you how talented this kid is. And if he can find his feet again, almost find that rhythm and that groove again, this guy, he could tear up this National League. He could be a game changer for them.
6'3" as well, a big, tall body, who can skate really well. So I think that's a massive addition. And he's on a 2-way as well with Belfast. So he's going to be getting that elite league experience training as well. So it'll be interesting to see how many games he actually does get with Belfast. Is it Belfast he's got the 2-way
he's gone to
with?
Belfast Giants. I mentioned that. And for me, it's about the training and just the experience.
Yeah.
And I think this season is for him a really big season for him because he'll want to prove that he's one of the best British youngsters on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and let's get into a couple older players. So they've signed John Dunbar. He takes up another slot of their imports. And they've also got, as we mentioned in the interview, Barry McKenzie, 2 experienced bodies who's played in that elite league level for a long time, and they've dropped down to our league. They're going to be a handful, aren't they, Charlie?
Yeah, they're good. They're going to do a good job.
More than good.
Well, every player who's dropped down from the Elite League, they seem to tear it up. We saw Glasgow Clan's Matt Hayward come down. He wasn't scoring loads of points in the Elite League. He came down to our league and he scored 100. I'm not saying these guys are going to do that, but John Dunbar I definitely expect to be up there. And Barley McKenzie, he's a local Solway lad, like they said as well. And they're just going to do a good job. And they're going to be experienced in a team which needs experience.
Well, you mentioned Matt Hayward didn't get too many points in the Elite League, but he come and smashed it in our league. John Dunbar, just to put it in perspective, in his last season with the Glasgow Clan, 33 points. The season before that with Guildford, 41 points. Couple seasons before that with Guildford, 43, 56, 81. This guy can score points and he's dropping down a league. I'm not saying our league's dramatically worse than the Elite League, but he's going to get a lot of points. Do you expect him to get 100 points this season, Charlie?
Yeah, I do. I think when you're scoring 28, 30 points in the Elite League and you come down to our league, the pressure's on to be the number one guy in your team. So I expect him to be Solway Sharks' top point scorer, and I expect him to be one of the best players in this league.
Yeah, and the final import slot is taken up by Noah Gardiner. I think Gardiner, is that how you spell it? Pronounce it, sorry. 24 years old, 6'1", a big centerman who's going to come into that team again. Just another big body to go alongside some of these small young players.
Yeah, but he did score 11 points in the Youth Sports League last year, which is very good. To put into context, Labuele scored 9, Colby Towers scored a bit less. That's some good points for the Youth Sports League. From what I've learned about the Youth Sports League, it's a league where points are low. It's a physical 2-way game league where people are battling and the score lines are low. So getting 11 points in the Youth Sports coming to the National League, it's a good record to have coming into it. Yeah,
and then just to name a couple other forwards, they've got a lot of Scotsmen. You've got the likes of you got Lewis Young, you've got Connor Henderson, who you like the look of. You've watched him a couple times.
It's not Connor. The one I like the look of, I believe.
Scott Henderson. Scott. Sorry, are they brothers? It could be. Sorry if we butchered this. We don't actually know too much about the team.
So I'll quickly go into Scott.
Yeah, you go over it.
Because I really like Scott Henderson. He stood out to me at both Coventry games. Where's number 89, the number of the GOAT of the National League, Malazinski? He's 24 years old, 6'3", but the stats speak for themselves. So in the 21-22 season, he scored 48 points in 23 games. And you think that's good. Well, in the 22-23 season in the National One League, he scored 84 points in 32 games with 45 goals. The guy tears up the league below. So he's a joke on paper.
And he's had a few
Played
games
for Glasgow.
Yeah.
He's played for Fife. He's had some minutes in the Elite League. Ooh, I'm excited to watch him, to be honest.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be one to look out for. And I know I've mentioned it a lot, but he's 6'3". He's another tall body in the team. So, yeah, I'm liking the squad. There's a lot of players who we're a bit unsure about whether they're going to make a big impact in this league. You look at the likes of Jay Warren and Lipsy, they stepped up and they actually improved their game. They got a lot of points in our league. So for some players, all it takes is that little step up and their game goes up as well. Their bar gets higher. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these players get on, but they've got a lot of experienced players to go alongside them. Charlie, should we get into our ones to watch for this season from the Solway Sharks? Solway Sharks?
Yeah.
You're going first this time because I went first last time. So who's your one to watch?
My ones to watch is number 89, Scott Henderson. I didn't want to go obvious for this one. I wanted to go for someone who's a bit more undercover. He's been their leading point scorer last season, and it's a huge opportunity for him because it didn't seem like he could find his feet at the Elite League level. But now there's a position, like I've always said, for the Scotsman to perform at the National League. He, I think, will be a great example of a player who's going to thrive off of this National League move. And my little prediction, I think he's going to get a point a game in the National League level.
Really? 56 plus points?
If he does that from coming from the league below and not playing in the league above, I think it proves that the National One League, there's some players to look out for.
Nice. I like that pick, and I'm really interested to see how many points he does get and whether he can battle in this league, because I have no doubts that he can. My ones to watch, I'm going to go with Kel Beattie. He's young. He's only 19 years old. He's had experience with Belfast. He played 13 games. And he's going to get his first proper season in the National Ice Hockey League. We haven't actually seen, he played 5 games for Hull last season, which isn't many at all. So he's going to get a full season with Solway, and you never know, he could absolutely smash it and then get his full-time opportunity in the Elite League. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. He's had GB experience as well with the under-20s last year. So yeah, I'm going to go with Kel Beattie. Expectations, Charlie. What are your expectations? Because there's a lot of debates going around on Twitter. Some people are saying top 3. Some people are saying top 5. Some people are saying they're going to miss out on playoffs. Charlie, what is your expectations on them next season?
Okay, I'm going to make a 2-point statement. Okay. If they get top 8 and they finish 8th or 7th, I think Solway have had a good season. Mm-hmm. If you get in the playoffs in your first year in the league, my expectations for them, that Mason Alderson signing made my expectations go a little bit up. My expectations for them next season is top 6.
Okay.
I think Solway Sharks squad
very high.
Squad. So I've actually got higher expectations than I originally thought, but I don't think they'll get in the top 4.
One thing I will say before I get on to mine, after speaking to John and looking into Solway and learning a bit more about Solway and the squad and the players they've got and the coach as well, we can't forget about Martin, because I think Martin is one of the big reasons why they will be successful this season for their expectations. So yeah, I'm going to go with 7th, 8th. And I think that's a positive season, because if you look at Bristol and you look at Hull last season, they didn't have a bad season. They didn't have a bad season at all, but it was their first season and they had a lot of players step up from the league below. So I'm expecting 7th or 8th for Solway, and we'll see in a couple of weeks where I put them in my predictions. But I'm expecting 7th or 8th, makes the playoffs, maybe cause an upset on one of the teams. You never know. But yeah, I think they're going to be dominant at home. I think they might struggle away from home a bit. But yeah, I'm going to go 7th or 8th. Do you think that sounds all right, Charlie?
Yeah. And just saying, there's a couple players, Brits in Scotland, who are playing for Elite League teams. And you see a lot during the season where Elite League young Brits in the Elite League teams drop down to the National League. And I wouldn't be surprised if Solway picked up 1 or 2 players during the season dropping down from the Elite League.
My only worry is, and this isn't really a big worry, but you look at the likes of Kel Beattie, you look at Alderson, they're on 2 ways. If they have a really, really good start to the season with Solway, there could be the possibility that they play more games with the Elite League teams. Can you see that happening?
I would, but they're on a 2-way with Belfast. And Belfast team is stacked and they've
Yep.
got their British core. If they were on another team, I think they would get opportunities. And I do think they'll get the odd game or two, especially midweek. But I don't see it being much of a worry for the season, just because I think Belfast have got their British core. And Belfast often, from what I know, when a player gets injured, they bring in an import. So I think it's difficult. I don't think that's too much of a worry for them, but I may be proven wrong.
Yeah, I think they'll get the odd games, but as you said, the Elite League is a high standard, and yeah, they rely on imports a lot. But I think this is the season where they can prove themselves. Kel Beatty and Alderson can have a fantastic season, and then they might sniff around some other teams. So we'll just have to see. Have you got anything else to say on the Solway Sharks before we end?
Keep it up, Solway.
Yeah.
We really like you in our league, and you've set a bar for other teams to improve their social media. I do film myself, and I'm a filmmaker, and seeing some of the stuff like Callum Hepburn in a football stadium and all sorts of fun stuff like this, it's phenomenal. And the National League fans love it. They've set the bar here, and the other teams need to match it.
Yeah, big up to the fans around the league as well, who've actually, I think, given Solway quite a warm welcome to the league. I think there could have been a lot of backlash, but there actually hasn't been too much backlash from it. So big up to all the fans. This just shows how much the hockey community comes together, especially in the National Ice Hockey League. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that 7-hour trip to Solway. Let us know in the comments who is your ones to watch from the Solway Sharks. Make sure to follow all of our socials at Macca's Talk Hockey. And yeah, just let us know any thoughts you have on Solway. And up next, actually, I'm not going to tell them which special we have next because we have a few lined up. We've got a few more interviews lined up. But yeah, Charlie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again for John for hopping on. And we'll see you in the next podcast. Peace.
Goodbye.